Now that we have the basic shape of our object, we can start doing a little bit of detailing. And the first thing I want to do is put the hole in on the back part here. So let's grab these polygons here, and then we can hide the other layers. So just select the back layer, and let's do a good general shaping of this before we do any beveling. So we'll scale this down. Let's grab these polygons here, scale them down as well. And let's adjust these verts a little bit, just to bring them in line with our shape. And these ones will, and that one as well. And these ones will go up. Alright, now let's grab those polygons again. Hit B for bevel. And delete them. Let's go into sub D mode just to get a good idea of our shape here. And let's grab these verts right here, these 5. And we'll scale them inward toward each other. And we'll do the same thing for these verts. We just want to control the shape separately because they are 2 different shapes generally. Okay. Now back over to polygon mode, or non-sub D, and we'll grab these ones and do a very slight adjustment to make them slightly more round. Alright, and we'll bring these 2 down a little further. Okay, let's take a look at that in sub D mode. And let's bring these 2 edges down. Okay, check that out in sub D mode. Let's throw in a loop right here, and we'll do that at 50%. Let's key that in. And we'll do another one on this side as well. Key that in at 50%. Okay, back to poly mode. Grab these 2 verts. Scale them outward, and let's grab all 3 from both sides. Scale those down a little bit. Oh, yeah, that should do it. Okay, now let's bring these 2 in closer to each other. Scale them in like so, and let's bring these ones up, these 2 here. And these 2 on opposing sides again, bring those in just a touch. And let's bring these 5 up. It's a little wide. It's a little too tall in that space there. Okay, that'll work. And the reason we're doing that now is so that we don't have to do it twice and then bridge the polygons between the 2 surfaces. So once we do our thicken process, it'll all be done and we won't have to worry about it. One thing we should check out is the UV map, just to make sure that everything is good. And you can see we have some overlapping UVs in here, which would be these polygons right here. So if we grab them and let's run we should probably just go to the UV edit room. We'll close that tab. Righto. Okay, grab those polygons again, hit L for loop. And let's see what happens if we just use the relax tool. Not so much. Let's turn up the iterations. Oh, too many. It doesn't look like it's going to work with us here on this. So we'll just do a very simple projection. Here we'll do unwrap tool. We'll do planar along the Z. Click in the viewport, and that is good. Let's scale that down quite a lot, and we'll place that inside the center here of where it should go. We do want this to be a part of the rest of the map. And now we'll sew them together. Hopefully it doesn't explode. If it does, we'll do something else. So we want to sew it to the unselected, because the unselected is this big island up here. So click unselected, and it exploded. So what probably is going on here is that the scale of this is opposite. It looked like it was stretching across. So let's scale the U -100%. Oops. And let's turn on negative scales. Let's try that again. Let's undo that. Turn on negative scale and do -100. And it looks exactly the same. That's because it is, more or less. It's just facing the opposite side there. And let's, where'd you go? Sew them. Now it's A-OK. Okay, let's scale this in a little so that way we alleviate some of that stretching in there and bring it down to make it look a little better. Yeah, no more stretching in there, so that's good. I'm actually not liking how many extra polygons I created around the sides here, so let's get rid of these 6 here. We'll just hit backspace on those. Activate the edge slice tool with the C key, and we'll place in 2 edges that converge up here. And a couple of triangles isn't going to hurt anything. That looks good too in the OpenGL. No shader weirdness. Let's actually select all these layers, copy them, create a new layer, and we'll call this full box. Paste that in. Go back to poly mode. And what we're going to do now is actually create a morph map. So click on new map, and we'll call this box exploded. This might seem a little weird, but it's going to be pretty cool. With this morph map selected, we're going to pull it apart like so. Doesn't really matter. We'll just pull it apart so that way there's a lot of space between everything. I do want to keep them somewhat close so that way we can see what's going on globally. We don't want to move things too far apart, I suppose. Okay, so now everything's far enough apart, but I can still see everything. That looks okay. The reason we're doing this is so that we have a much easier time selecting our elements, polygons, and so on inside of the box, because once we start modeling inside and we need to see inside, it's going to be extremely difficult to actually get inside without zooming in and then having to rotate our camera and just doing all these workarounds that we just shouldn't need to do. So a morph map is really going to help us out with that. Also, when we get into tight areas, for example, when we start bridging these edges, like from here to here and so on, you know, there are going to be polygons in there, but they're going to be so close together that it's going to be very difficult to work with. So again, this morph map is really going to help out. Back to the unmodified object. Let's take a look at what we need to actually connect up together. We want to make this one full piece of cardboard. So we should connect up a few pieces to a single piece as a main one. So this one I've decided will be our main piece. So what we'll do is we'll connect up these 3. Yeah, those 3 will be one larger piece going along this direction, like so. Okay, I'll highlight that so we get a visual idea. And then the front will connect up right here, and it will flow around and connect up to this piece. And then the back will connect up to, we'll connect it up right here. I can't select them because they're facing opposite of me. So it'll connect up right along there. And that should make everything one single piece and allow us to make it a little more realistic. And that's going to help us determine how we're actually going to thicken the box as well. So let's grab these and we'll flip them back toward the back again. And now we know that this set here, and let's see, actually all of the sides are going to be thickened. Let's activate the thicken tool. We're going to be thickening the walls here 1.2 millimeters. So we'll key that in and then hit apply. And that's going to force them to go outward. And in fact, we should just turn off, oh, it already was off, except on that. Turn off sub Ds, right? So now if we zoom in, you can see these have been more or less extruded outward. Now for the top and the bottom, these ones are going to be going inward. So we need to thicken them with negative 1.2 millimeters. And we'll just do negative 0.12. That'll automatically convert it to millimeters and hit apply. So you can see those went down and up respectively. Let's activate our morph map here just to take a look and make sure everything is going to be easy to select and use. Sure enough, everything looks good. Let's take a look at our UV map as well. So double click on that and you can see if we drop our selection, everything is stacked atop itself. So for example, this polygon here has a counterpart on the same UV space. You can see if we select them again. All right, we'll just select something else. You can see we've selected 2 polygons there. That's great. That's what we want, more or less. However, we need to UV map the edges. So with this morph map still active, let's go ahead and grab 2 sets of polygons that are sharing an edge, so we can just then hit the L key to select the entire loops. Okay, hit L now. Alrighty, let's hide everything else with Shift H. You know, we should probably just go to the UV edit room so we have proper UV tools. Let's select, let's see, this one here and this one here, because they're facing the same general direction. And I will use unwrap, and we'll do a cylindrical unwrap, and we'll try along the X is almost there. Yeah, not gonna work. Let's try doing just a group normal. Well, that's gonna have to work. No, it won't. Let's just select the top portion right here. We'll do the top and the bottom. There we are. I got an extra poly in there. Alright, and now the bottom. So I'm just lasso selecting because this is going to work out a little easier. And the bottoms of that, and the tops of this. Okay, so now we can do a planar projection. We'll do planar, down on the Y, click in the viewport. That's good. Hide those. Now let's do the rest of the ones that are going along the X. So it'll be those two, these here, those on the opposite side, and oh yes, the top. So we'll select those and the ones on the opposite side as well. Now we'll do another planar projection. This time, let's see, along the Z, I believe. Oh no, that's X. But it looks like the Z worked out just fine. So we'll just go with Z. Okay, hide those. And I think you get the idea. Next we'll do planar along the negative Z with these. In fact, everything else, we'll just select it just to make sure. And we'll do unwrap and along the Z. Let's try X. Seem to give us larger polygons. Oh, alright, that's good. So now if we select these real quick, move them out of the way. I should have moved those others out of the way as I was doing this process, but that's okay. We'll just select these islands real quick by double clicking on them and then hiding them. Now we can lasso select all of those, bring those over, and let's pack them. Let's align them. Let's do them vertically, I suppose. Let's change the gap space to 5%, hit OK, and they should be packed up nice and tight. And select them again, and we'll place them over on the -1 on the UV space here. Okay, U to unhide everything, just to make sure it's going to be a little easier to select. Let's go ahead and move a couple of these islands off into a different section. We'll move these over here. Alright, and in fact, let's just move those over a little more. Okay, we'll move these up to the top corner. Alright, so that's going to work for us, I think. Let's go back to the Model tab. And now it's time for us to start connecting up our pieces as we want them. So you might recall that this piece will be connected to this one on these edges here. But before we do that, we should, let's grab these edges here and let's go back to the base shape. We're going to move this down on the Y by approximately, let's try -1 millimeters. And we're going to move this, let's hide everything else. We're going to move the bottom of this one as well up 1 millimeter. So up 1 millimeter. Okay. We should probably do that on the opposite side as well. So let's, you know, we should have done that at the same time. Oh well. That's cool. Grab that. Key that in. -0.1. Then we're going to have to key in the millimeter. Alright. Double click and then we'll key in 0.1. Alright. unhide. Now let's do the top and the bottom. So we'll select those two parts, Shift H to hide everything else, and we'll grab this edge here and this edge here, and we'll move those in on the X. So -0.1 there. Grab these two edges on the opposite side, and we'll move them. I believe that'll be 0.1. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one there. Grab the right one, Javis. Okay, let's zoom out. Make sure we got the wrong one on there as well. How'd that happen? There we go. Alright, move tool and move them. Oops. 0.1, not 1. 1 centimeter is a little harsh. So that will help us accommodate the space for the bridge a little bit later. Let's do a quick look with sub Ds turned on, and it looks a little weird right now, but once we start putting in edge loops to tighten up those edges, it will look very, very good. So I think that looks good. Let's go back to poly mode. So now I believe it's time to start bridging items. So let's go to the box exploded morph, and what we'll do is we'll go ahead and select these 4 edges. I'm sorry, I have polys, those 4, and I have a hotkey for the bridge tool, but we're just going to bridge them. No added geometry in there, just a simple 0 span poly in there. Okay, these 4 as well, and bridge those. Next, this is where it gets a little tricky, so we need to actually take a look at our model in sub D mode. So we know that we're going to be adding an edge loop right here along this direction, not there, along this area to tighten that up. So it might be time to do that, because we don't want to bridge straight across from this edge, right? I'm sorry, these polygons here to the wrong one again, to those polygons there. It will cause a little bit of complexity, and we don't really want that right now. What we'll do is use the add loop tool, and we'll place them at approximately the same percentage. And let's go 95, I'm sorry, this side will be 5%. We'll add one here as well. This one will be 95. And now we'll do the bottom. This one will be 5. And this one will be 5 as well. So we'll do this a little bit later on when we connect it up to the back, but we're going to focus on this section right here on the front. So now with the morph box exploded activated again, let's go back into regular poly mode, and we'll connect up those 4 polygons that are just inside of the edge that we just created, or the edges. So now we can bridge them. In fact, we can bridge them. You already saw me do it in the morph map, and when we go back outside the morph map, it's perfectly fine. Everything is good. Okay, let's go back to that morph map, and now we need to bridge up the back to the side here. Before we do that, we need to add the extra geometry on the back side here. So we'll do add loop, and that was along this edge, so it'll be 5%. And let's do the bottom now, and that one will also be 5%. Okay, now we can grab those 4 polygons in there. Oh, I think I made the slice in the wrong spot. Oops, that's alright. Let's go ahead and grab that one and hit backspace. We'll add in the right one. So this one will be 95%. There we go. Okay, now we can select the correct polys. There we go. So select 2, up arrow twice, and that'll give us the ones we want. I just want to make sure those are the right ones. So let's go outside of our morph map. Sure enough, that is golden. Select the morph map again, bridge those. Okay. And now let's do this side as well. Let's add in the extra geometry over here, add loop, and that's 5%. Hold shift, place another, that's 95%. Drop the tool, select 2 edges, up arrow to select the extra 2. Same thing here, and then bridge them. Okay, so now we have our item more or less connected up. It's one piece of cardboard, if you will. And now we can take a look at the item in outside of our morph map, and let's go to sub D mode. And now it's looking a lot better. We still have to harden some edges along here to tighten up that hole, but it's more or less the shape that we want.